In even many ways more profoundly devastating is the lasting damage to the survivors' will to rebuild and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Please call.
In the past few days, America and people have been stepping up.
It's hard to believe that as of making this video, 2005 was 20 years ago. Yep, you heard correct. It's been 2 whole decades since all of this year's events took place. I swear, time is just flying as it feels like this year was not that long ago. I was in the 5th grade and turned 10 this year, and I'm gonna be 30 later this summer, which is just crazy to me to see how fast time has just gone by. Being a child in the 2000s was just so fun and nostalgic, you just had to be there. Anyways, 2005 was a pretty crazy year from start to finish, with some pretty crazy pop culture moments that took place from January to December. Throughout the year, we witnessed many major moments that became big staples in pop culture, from the films to the music releases, fashion, sports events, and technology that made this year feel like a fever dream. I feel like 2005 is actually a pretty underrated and forgotten year that usually gets overlooked when discussing the 2000s decade. So I thought it would be a fun idea to take a look back at one of my favorite years from my childhood to see if it was a fun, memorable year, or to see if it's a year that needs to be buried in the past. 2005 was a pretty eventful year from start to finish, with some pretty crazy pop culture moments. By this year, most trends, if not all, from the 90s had completely faded away as we were in the middle of the 2000s. In sports, the Chicago White Sox swept the Houston Astros in 4 games, winning their 3rd World Series championship and their first in 88 years. The New England Patriots won the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles with a score of 24-21, and the San Antonio Spurs became the NBA Finals champions with Tim Duncan's game high of 25 points and 11 rebounds, securing the Spurs' victory. The US Open golf champion was Michael Campbell. The US Open tennis champion was Roger Federer for men, while the US Open tennis champion for women was Justine Henin Harding. Fu Hafeng landed the fastest badminton racket whack of 206 miles per hour, which is just so impressive. And the NFL played their first game in Mexico. At this year's Royal Rumble match, Dave Bautista and John Cena were competing to become the face of the company, ending with a tie after the two eliminated themselves at the exact same time, and Dave Bautista later ended up being the winner of the match. 2005 was a pretty big year for the technology and gaming industry, with many notable releases that defined the rest of the decade. This year saw the launches of major releases including Apple Video iPods, Sony's PSP, Google Maps, Reddit, the Motorola ROKR E1 cell phones, and the Microsoft Xbox 360 gaming console. Some of the most popular video games released this year included Batman Begins, Resident Evil 4, Call of Duty 2, Shadow of the Hedgehog, Ultimate Spider-Man, Fahrenheit, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Kingdom Hearts 2, Nintendogs, Bratz Rock Angels, God of War, and the first installment of Guitar Hero, amongst many others. This was also a big year for the theme park industry as we witnessed new records being broken as well as new openings. Hong Kong Disneyland opened to the public in September of this year to rave reviews, while new coasters opened like Hydra the Revenge at Dorney Park and SheiKra at Busch Gardens Tampa as America's first dive coaster. On May 21st, Kingda Ka opened at Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey as the tallest and fastest roller coaster in the world, where it held the record until its recent closure in 2024. And you know, I'm honestly really mad because this ride was on my bucket list and I just never got to go on it, and I never will get to go on it because it's been demolished. Throughout the year, we witnessed a wide variety of memorable celebrity gossip, drama, and scandals that kept us entertained for weeks on end. We said goodbye to many icons including Luther Vandross, Johnny Carson, Sandra Dee, Eddie Guerrero, Pat Morita, Pope John Paul III, Dawn Adams, Teresa Wright, Richard Pryor, and civil rights activist Rosa Parks, as well as many others. I didn't really know what to write for this next part of the video, so just sit back, relax, and enjoy this montage that I made of these random celebrity red carpet fashion looks from the year. This year's Oscars was hosted by Chris Rock, being his first time hosting the show. The Aviator had 11 nominations, winning the most awards of the night with 5, while Million Dollar Baby won 4, including Best Picture. At age 74, Clint Eastwood became the oldest winner for Best Director in Oscar history. Other winners of the night included Jamie Foxx, Hilary Swank, Cate Blanchett, Morgan Freeman, and Brad Bird, amongst many others. At the Grammys, Ray Charles was honored after his death in 2004, winning 5 awards including Album of the Year as well as Record of the Year. I honestly feel like Usher should have dominated at this year's show, as he was the biggest artist of the previous year with his massive Confessions album. But he did go home with 3 awards, so that's good, but none in the main categories for some odd reason. Other major winners of the night included John Mayer for Song of the Year, Kanye West for Best Rap Album, Mark Anthony for Best Latin Pop Album, Alicia Keys for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance, Best R&B Album, and so many more, while the Black Eyed Peas won their first Grammy for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group, and Maroon 5 for Best New Artist, amongst many other winners. Destiny's Child announced the group's official disbandment to pursue solo endeavors, while Blink-182 announced that they were going on an indefinite hiatus to clear up any breakup rumors. George W. Bush was sworn into office for his second term as president. Michael Jackson was found not guilty on all 10 felony and all 4 misdemeanor charges in a child case which took place during a 14-week trial. Jude Law issues an apology after he's caught cheating on his wife Sienna Miller with his children's nanny, and was later revealed that his wife was also having an affair with actor Daniel Craig around the same time, which is just so messy and scandalous. Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt get divorced, with rumors spreading of him secretly in a relationship with Angelina Jolie, as the two met on the set of their film Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which was a major tabloid story this year. Russell Crowe pleads guilty to second-degree assault after throwing a phone at a hotel employee. Tom Cruise goes on the Oprah Winfrey Show proclaiming his new love for Katie Holmes, all while jumping around like a lunatic. I think he was doing this to distract the general public from his recent Scientology controversies, but that's for another video. Carrie Underwood won season 4 of American Idol. Benedict Cumberbatch got rescued from a stranger after being held at gunpoint in South Africa. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher got married despite a weird age gap. R. Kelly's dramatic performance of Trapped of the Closet at the VMAs. Kanye West goes off script for the first time in a televised Hurricane Katrina benefit.
I hate the way they portray us in the media. If you see a black family, it says they're looting. See a white family, it says they're looking for food. George Bush doesn't care about black people.
And Tyra Banks goes off on a contestant in this infamous America's Next Top Model episode.
Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells at this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Learn something from this.
Cut the cameras. Dead ass.
Yeah, couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. Tyra would have had to see me outside. In late August, Hurricane Katrina tore up several parts of the southeast, including states like Louisiana and Mississippi, more specifically the city of New Orleans and surrounding areas. This was a Category 5 hurricane that caused over 1,000 fatalities and damages estimated at $125 billion, making it one of the most catastrophic hurricanes in recent memory. Possibly the biggest and most influential thing to come from this year was the launch of a little website called YouTube.
Alright, so here we are in front of the elephants. Cool thing about these guys is that they have really long fronts, and that's cool. And that's pretty much all there is to say.
The face of the internet was changed overnight when this website was launched, as it quickly became the biggest website of the year. Y'all already know what YouTube is, but I'm sure if you didn't know, that the reason why it was created was due to the 2004 Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake Super Bowl halftime show that couldn't be found anywhere online at the time. And I talked about this moment in particular in my 2004 video, so when you're done watching this, you can watch that. The creators thought of the idea of a video sharing site for people to upload and share with the world, and you can literally thank Janet Jackson for that, which is pretty iconic. As of now, YouTube is one of the most popular websites of all time, with millions of videos and viewers on the platform, changing the way we view media.
Yeah, I know. How did it go?
Yeah.
2005 was definitely an interesting year for the film and television industry, as we saw many new classic franchises make their returns, as well as many originals make their debuts. Many people actually consider this year to be one of the weakest and most forgettable years for films during the 21st century so far. Although I can kind of see where people and film critics are coming from, I think there was a few hidden gems sprinkled throughout the year. This year saw a massive focus on more lighthearted films ranging in a variety of genres and topics such as fantasies, rom-coms, action-adventure, family comedies, animation, and many others. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, as well as Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, were among some of the highest anticipated film releases of the year, both becoming box office smashes, as well as gaining widespread acclaim from both critics and fans. After the surprise overnight success of the first Shrek film in 2001, DreamWorks Animation Studio would go on to drop yet another successful movie franchise to add to their crazy lineup. Madagascar was released to theaters on May 27th, where it quickly became the family film event of the summer. Despite getting some mixed reviews from critics, it was able to make $500 million at the box office, making it one of the highest grossing films of the year. The film revolves around a group of animals from the Central Park Zoo who, after escaping, find themselves stranded on the island of Madagascar and must adjust to living in the wild. I always found this to be such a fun and bizarre concept as a kid that somehow worked, making this film a classic. What makes this film so great was mostly due to the comedic timing between the characters, the music, and the tropical setting, making it stand out from any other animated films at the time. And this has to be one of the funniest animated films from the 2000s in my opinion.
Well,
pretty good, right?
There's always plan B.
David Schwimmer, Jada Pinkett Smith, Chris Rock, Ben Stiller, Sacha Baron Cohen, and Cedric the Entertainer all provided the voices for the main characters, all bringing something unique and fun to the table. Alex, Marty, Gloria, Melman, Maurice, Mort, and King Julian were all just so great, making this one of the most memorable casts in all of animation. The Penguins, however, were the clear standouts of the film, as they stole every scene they were in.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
I don't know the codes.
Don't give me excuses. Give me results. Navigation.
Cut the cameras. Deadass.
Madagascar was so popular that it launched a multimedia franchise, including 2 sequels as well as the spin-off film Penguins of Madagascar, several short films, television series, specials, a number of video games, merchandise, toys, theme park attractions, and live shows. A fun fact that nobody asked about is that my first job ever as an adult was playing Gloria the Hippo in my local theme park, Busch Gardens, Tampa, way back in the summer of 2014. Some of y'all probably saw me dancing on stage. By the mid-2000s, the superhero genre was really starting to gain popularity as we were getting more and more of them each year. On July 8th, 20th Century Fox released Fantastic Four to theaters, and this movie got mixed reviews from critics. Based on the Marvel comics, the film follows the origins of the Fantastic Four team as they learn to come to terms with their newfound abilities following their exposure to cosmic rays while on a failed outer space mission. Despite receiving criticism for being overly campy and lighthearted, the film was praised for its fun nature, action sequences, and casting, making it one of the most popular films of the year. This was honestly one of the last major superhero films that looked and felt just like the comic books, and was just a few years before the Marvel Cinematic Universe dominated the genre in the late 2000s. Perhaps the biggest film released this year was The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Being based off of the 1950 novel by C.S. Lewis, the film was a critical and commercial success, grossing over $745 million worldwide on a $180 million budget, becoming the 3rd highest grossing film of the year. The Chronicles of Narnia follows the lives of 4 British children who evacuated during the Blitz to the countryside, who find a magical wardrobe that leads them to the fantasy world of Narnia, where they ally with the lion Aslan, voiced by Liam Neeson, against the forces of the White Witch, played by Tilda Swinton. Clarkson. Newcomer James McAvoy rose to prominence in this film of his performance of the character Mr. Tumnus, a faun who at first works for the White Witch, but befriends one of the children and joins Aslan's forces. This character is actually the main reason why this book was actually created. Many fans and critics praised the film for its fantasy setting, visuals, storytelling, action-adventure elements, makeup, costume design, music, realism, characters, and acting, making it one of the most unique and memorable films of the year. I miss when films look like this, just pure fun and imagination. The 2000s CGI still holds up pretty well and looks much better than what Disney has been putting out lately. Other notable films that were released this year included Sky High, Wedding Crashers, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Are We There Yet?, Constantine, Batman Begins, King Kong, War of the Worlds, Coach Carter, Robots, Hitch, The Longest Yard, Kingdom of Heaven, Pride and Prejudice, The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl, Herbie Fully Loaded, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Corpse Bride, Brokeback Mountain, Ice Princess, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and the best animated film to ever exist, Chicken Little.
What's that noise? Sorry, nervous eater.
2005 was a pretty interesting year for television as we saw many new series released to massive success. Throughout the year, there were several new TV shows that debuted, ranging in different genres including animation, comedy, and dramas, as well as many others. This year, we witnessed many shows that would later become staples in pop culture throughout the 2000s decade. On February 21st, Nickelodeon debuted their newest animated TV series, Avatar: The Last Airbender. The show aired on Nickelodeon for 3 seasons from February 2005 to July 2008 and was a major success for the network. This was one of my favorite shows growing up as I just found the characters, storytelling, and action sequences to be so interesting and unique. The series takes place in a world where people have special powers based on the 4 elements, water, earth, air, and fire, and focuses on Aang, a 12-year-old who is the last and current airbender from his nation, the Air Nomads. Avatar: The Last Airbender was a rating success and received widespread acclaim from critics and audiences, with high praises for its characters, cultural references, art direction, voice acting, soundtrack, humor, ending, and thematic content. The series was also known for touching on many mature topics that we rarely discussed in children's television at the time, making it stand out from others. Despite having a massive fan base, I've always felt like this show was underrated and deserved more seasons, as I think it's one of the best animated series to ever exist. Since its release, the show has been regarded by critics as one of the most acclaimed series of the 21st century and one of the greatest animated television series of all time. Since the late 90s, the medical drama genre started gaining massive popularity with shows like ER and Scrubs. These shows introduced viewers to a series of dramatized events that took place in a hospital setting. Hospital shows were just all the rage back then for some reason. On March 27, 2005, ABC premiered Grey's Anatomy, where it quickly became a cultural phenomenon overnight, making it the most popular scripted medical drama of all time. Grey's Anatomy is an American medical drama television series focusing on the personal and professional lives of many surgical interns, residents, and attendings at the fictional Seattle Grace Hospital, later named the Grace Sloan Memorial Hospital. The show was responsible for launching many of today's biggest actors who became global sensations, including Ellen Pompeo, Sandra Oh, Katherine Heigl, Justin Chambers, T.R. Knight, Chandra Wilson, James Pickens Jr., Isaiah Washington, and Patrick Dempsey, amongst many others. For most of its run, the series revolves around Dr. Meredith Grey, chronicling her progression from surgical intern to fully qualified doctor to the hospital's chief of general surgery. As of making this video, Grey's Anatomy is the longest running scripted primetime show currently airing on ABC, and the longest scripted primetime series carried by ABC, with a total of 21 seasons and 443 episodes. I seriously don't understand why this show is even still on air, as many of the original cast members have left, as well as the declining viewership numbers over the years, but that's neither here nor there. Another popular TV show that premiered in 2005 was The Office. The Office aired on NBC in March of this year and was a mockumentary workplace situational sitcom based on the 2001 BBC series of the same name. name. The show depicts the everyday work lives of office employees at the Scranton, Pennsylvania branch of the fictional Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. The series was filmed in a single camera setup without a studio audience or laugh track to mirror the look of an actual documentary. Because of this, The Office was able to stand out from other shows on TV at the time and would become the standard for many modern sitcoms to follow. Its original main cast was Steve Carell, Rainn Wilson, John Krasinski, Jenna Fischer, and BJ Novak, and would later experience numerous changes to the ensemble cast over the series run. Fans and critics quickly fell in love with the show's laid-back, relatable, and funny storylines, and characters, especially Steve Carell's portrayal of Michael Scott, the incompetent regional manager of the Dunder Mifflin Scranton branch, and Rainn Wilson as the naive Dwight Schrute. Dwight craves authority over his co-workers and relishes any minor task that Michael or anyone else will give him. He's basically one of those co-workers that thinks they're the boss, micromanaging everyone around him. The Office was on air for a total of 9 seasons and consisted of 201 episodes, making it one of the longest running scripted TV series ever. The Office is also credited by many as one of the best television series of the 21st century so far and of all time. Other major TV series that premiered this year were The Boondocks, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Prison Break, American Dad, Wonder Pets, Criminal Minds, American Dragon, Jake Long, Weeds, Bones, Go Diego Go, Robot Chicken, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Camp Lazlo, Deal or No Deal, How I Met Your Mother, The Doodle Bops, My Gym Partner's a Monkey, Little Einsteins, My Name is Earl, Ben 10, Zoe 101, and Everybody Hates Chris, amongst many others.
Daddy, do you have a girlfriend?
What?
Well,
No! Why would you ask me a question like that, baby?
2005 was a pretty eventful year for the music industry from start to finish, with some of the biggest releases of the decade. Throughout the year, we witnessed many groups disband and form, multiple records being broken, saw the rise of new artists, and the many musical comebacks from some of the biggest artists. This year, we saw a wide variety of genres that dominated the industry, from punk rock to hip-hop to R&B to country, dance, pop, and adult contemporary, as well as many others. I actually remember this year specifically as the year where I really started to pay attention to what was trending in mainstream music at the time, as I watched shows like 106 in Park and listened to Radio Disney. Yeah, I used to listen to Radio Disney growing up because, you know, I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music and all that stuff. But Radio Disney would play, you know, obviously they would play like the Disney Channel songs and things of that nature, but they would play like the top 40. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself here. This was truly a decade-defining year for the 2000s, with many major releases that would become staples on radio stations, clubs, and those music video countdown shows that were still really popular at the time. Rapper 50 Cent was one of the standout artists this year as he released his highly anticipated sophomore album, The Massacre. With his rough and tough gangsta persona, this album was able to sell over 1.1 million copies within the first 4 days of its release, and has sold over 11 million copies worldwide, making it one of the highest selling hip-hop albums of all time. The album incorporated elements of East Coast hip-hop, gangsta rap, and Middle Eastern Arabic melodies layered over hard-hitting hip-hop beats, which was a very popular and trendy song during the mid-2000s. The Massacre spawned multiple chart toppers, including hits like Just a Little Bit, Disco Inferno, and Candy Shop, which featured guest vocals from Olivia, as well as many other hits. Candy Shop was a massive hit this year, where it topped multiple charts, including the Billboard Hot 100, where it spent 9 weeks at the top spot, becoming 50 Cent's third #1 single and 5th top 10 single in his career. As of late 2024, the music video has reached over 1 billion views on YouTube, which is pretty impressive. Kanye West had a very eventful 2005 as he was one of the most popular artists of the year. This was just peak Kanye, as he was able to score multiple hits and albums back to back where he released some of his best work. After releasing his iconic debut album, The College Dropout, in 2004 and winning multiple Grammys as a new artist. He later followed it up with his sophomore project, Late Registration, in August of this year. Late Registration was a massive success, topping multiple charts and selling over 3 million copies in the US, as well as 6 million worldwide. The album has often been viewed as a progression from The College Dropout, as well as being one of the most influential hip-hop releases ever. Late Registration spawned 5 singles, including the hits Touch the Sky, Heard Him Say, and Gold Digger featuring Jamie Foxx, which topped the Billboard Hot 100 during the fourth quarter of 2005 for a total of 10 weeks, becoming one of the hottest songs of the year. While Britney Spears, Christina, Pink, and Beyonce were on hiatus this year, newcomers Kelly Clarkson, Ciara, and Gwen Stefani were able to have their moment in the sun, as they were amongst some of the biggest female artists of the year. With their iconic hits, albums, music videos, and live performances, they were able to dominate the year, becoming the new crop of main pop girls for a new generation. During the 1990s and early 2000s, Gwen Stefani was the leading lady of the popular ska, reggae-infused alternative band No Doubt, and decided to embark on a solo career in the mid-2000s during the band's hiatus with her iconic 2004 release, Love Angel Music Baby. This album was massive and became a staple during the mid-2000s. You just had to be there. The album incorporated a diverse range of genres, including electropop, dance rock, new wave, and soul, while lyrically it explores themes of fashion, wealth, and relationships. This was also the era where Gwen and many other artists were deep in their cultural appropriation bag to sell records. For this album era, Gwen was heavily inspired by the Japanese Harajuku culture, even having 4 background dancers in her music videos, tours, and live performances called the Harajuku Girls, which wouldn't fly today for obvious reasons. Despite the criticism and backlash, the album has received multiple platinum sales certifications in several countries and has sold over 8 million copies worldwide. This album spawned many major hits, including Luxurious, Cool, Rich Girl featuring Eve, and Holla Back Girl, amongst many others. Holla Back Girl was the most successful single from this album, being one of the defining songs from the 2000s and 21st century so far. Due to its catchy, cheerleader-like melody, punchy bass, and memorable hook, Holla Back Girl became Gwen Stefani's signature hit and her first chart topper, where it stayed at the #1 spot for a total of 4 weeks, making it one of the biggest hits of the year. In late 2004, Ciara dropped her debut album Goodies, which became a massive success during the mid-2000s. While peaking at the #3 spot on the Billboard 200 and selling over 5 million copies worldwide, Goodies helped launch Ciara into superstardom overnight. The album included a mix of genres including R&B, hip-hop, pop, dance, and crunk, and has been compared to the likes of artists like Janet Jackson, Aaliyah, Britney Spears, Usher, and Destiny's Child. Throughout the year, Ciara released multiple hits, singles that were just inescapable, which were just great for the clubs, pep rallies, and everything in between. You just had to be there, as she was the moment in 2005, and her songs just made you want to get up and dance. These hits included Goodies, which featured P.D. Pablo, Oh, which featured Ludacris, and my personal favorite of hers, 1-2 Step, which featured Missy Elliott, amongst many other hits. With her bouncy songs, empowering lyrics, and high-energy dance moves, Ciara quickly became one of the hottest artists of the year, as she was later nicknamed the Princess of Crunk and B. After being crowned the first American Idol winner back in 2002, Kelly Clarkson quickly became a household name overnight, as well as one of the biggest pop stars of the 2000s. She later released her debut album in 2003, but was typecasted and seen by critics as just the girl who won American Idol. With the release of her sophomore album Breakaway in late 2004, Kelly pivoted to a more edgier aesthetic and sound, which further helped solidify her as the next big thing in mainstream music. For this album, she teamed up with pop heavy hitters Max Martin and Dr. Puke, as well as many other big producers and big songwriters. This album included a mix of mostly pop, rock, dance, alternative, and adult contemporary, with themes about love, heartbreak, and escapism. Fun fact, Kelly was actually requested by the Whitney Houston to record the song Breakaway, which would later be included for the soundtrack of the 2004 Disney film The Princess Diaries 2: Royal Engagement, a film that Whitney had co-produced. Now that's legendary. The Breakaway album also produced many top 10 singles, including Behind These Hazel Eyes, Because of You, Walk Away, and so many more. The album's most popular single was Since You've Been Gone, which is the ultimate breakup anthem to end all breakup anthems. Since You've Been Gone became one of the hottest songs of the year and of the 21st century so far. Its dramatic rock production, catchy melody, relatable singable lyrics, and vocal performance made it an instant classic and a fan favorite amongst many music listeners. This is Kelly Clarkson's signature hit and has been considered by many as one of the greatest pop songs ever. Throughout the year, we saw the rise of many new artists and groups that debuted, where most would go on to dominate the rest of the decade, as well as the 2010s. Some notable artists that debuted this year included Rihanna, T-Pain, John Legend, the Pussy Dolls, Panic at the Disco, Jason Aldean, Bobby Valentino, Carrie Underwood, The Game, Keisha Cole, and Chris Brown, amongst many others. 2005 also saw the comebacks of multiple major artists from the 90s, including Madonna. 2005 also saw the comebacks of multiple major artists from the 90s, including Madonna with her Confessions on a Dance Floor album, and Weezer with their Make Believe album. Following the disappointing sales of their previous album, Warning, from the year 2000, Green Day released their 7th studio album, American Idiot, in September of 2004 to rave reviews. Being a concept album, the band members considered it as a coming-of-age punk rock opera, which was very fitting for the narrative they were going for at the time. American Idiot follows the story of a fictional character named Jesus of Suburbia. Yeah, I don't know why they came up with that name, but that's the name that they came up with, Jesus of Suburbia. A lower middle class American adolescent teenage anti-hero. The album came about following the disillusionment and descent of a generation that came of age in a period shaped by tumultuous events such as 9/11 and the Iraq War. The presidency of George W. Bush also served as heavy inspiration for the album at the time. Lead singer Billy Joe Armstrong felt as if the mass media orchestrated paranoia and idiocy amongst the public, particularly cable news, which crossed the line from journalism to reality television, only showcasing violent footage intercut with advertisement. And this was one of the most anticipated album releases of the year, and Green Day's most ambitious project up until that point. Being primarily known as a punk rock band, the group expanded their sound on this album with various genres including new wave, Latin, and polka music. The album spawned 5 successful singles: American Idiot, Holiday, Wake Me Up When September Ends, Jesus of Suburbia, and Boulevard of Broken Dreams, which were huge this year. These songs were inescapable back in 2005, later giving the group a Grammy the following year. Oddly enough, as popular as the singles were, none of them reached the top spot on the Billboard Hot 100, but did reach the top 10 as well as many other charts throughout the year. As of now, American Idiot has sold over 23 million copies worldwide, making it the second best-selling album for the band behind their 1994 major label debut, Dookie, and one of the best-selling albums of the decade and of all time. It's also widely considered by many to be one of the greatest albums of all time. Possibly the biggest artist of the year was none other than the elusive chanteuse herself, Mariah Carey. Mariah had a very eventful 2005 as she surprised everyone with her triumphant return as the Queen of Music after enduring a short period of betrayal, drama, and heartbreak from the media and general public. During the 1990s, Mariah Carey was at the top of her game as one of the most popular and influential artists of the decade. With her iconic albums and memorable chart toppers, she was able to sell millions of copies worldwide and become a global superstar. By the end of the decade, she scored 14 #1 singles, including songs like Fantasy, Vision of Love, Hero, Dream Lover, Always Be My Baby, and many others, as well as being named the Artist of the Decade at the 1999 Billboard Music Awards. By the turn of the new millennium, Mariah experienced a slowdown in her career, aka her flop era, as Gen Z likes to say. With disappointing sales, public meltdowns, label sabotage, drama, and an ever-changing industry, the general public unfortunately lost interest very quickly, with many people seeing her as a novelty act from the 90s, unable to transition into the new decade. That all changed with her 10th studio album, The Emancipation of Mimi, Stefani. The Emancipation of Mimi was released on April 12, 2005 as a celebratory album with themes of freedom, optimism, romance, joyfulness, and independence. It garnered critical acclaim with praise towards its production, vocal performance, songwriting, and storytelling, with critics noting the theme of independence and a lack of restraint, dubbing the album a party record. Being a primarily R&B record, the album incorporates many other genres including hip-hop, dance pop, and gospel amongst many others. This album included many major hits that stuck like grits, including the self-empowerment dance anthem It's Like That, the fun and confident Can I Get Your Number, the groovy Say Something with Snoop Dogg, and the sassy mid-tempo Shake It Off amongst many others. Shake It Off was one of the biggest hits of the year and was actually blocked from the top spot where it peaked at the number 2 position, right behind her other major hit from this album, We Belong Together. We Belong Together was a monster smash hit this year where it became Mariah's comeback single after people wrote her off as a 90s fad. The song became Mariah's 15th #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100, where it spent a total of 14 weeks on the top, joining 6 other songs in a tie as the 5th longest running #1 songs in US chart history. Those songs are I Will Always Love You from Whitney Houston, I'll Make Love to You from Boyz II Men, Macarena from Los Del Rio, Candle in the Wind from Elton John, I Got a Feeling from the Black Eyed Peas, and Uptown Funk from Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars. We Belong Together was inescapable this year as it became the most requested and played song of the year on US radio, the #1 song of the year, and the #1 song of the 2000s decade as a whole. It was just everywhere from weddings to proms to school dances, bat mitzvahs, and everything in between. You just had to be there. Billboard later ranked it as the 15th biggest hit of all time in terms of overall chart performance, which is iconic. As of now, The Emancipation of Mimi has sold over 10 million copies worldwide, making it the highest selling album of the year and one of the best selling albums of the 21st century so far. This is easily one of Mariah's best albums and has aged like fine wine over the years, where it's still considered a timeless classic by critics and fans. Oh, and for those who thought she came back, she never left.
Boom!
Other major hits from 2005 included My Humps from the Black Eyed Peas, Let Me Love You from Mario, Soldier from Destiny's Child, T.I. and Lil Wayne, Sugar We're Going Down from Fall Out Boy, Like You from Bow Wow and Ciara, Don't Ya from the Dolls and Busta Rhymes, Beverly Hills from Weezer, Run It from Chris Brown and Joel Santana, You and Me from Lifehouse, Lonely from Akon, Feel Good Inc. from Gorillaz, Hate It or Love It from The Game and 50 Cent, Ponde Replay from Rihanna, Mr. Brightside from The Killers, and Lose Control from Missy Elliott, Ciara, and Fat Man Scoop amongst many other hits. So like I said earlier, 2005 may have been a pretty forgotten and overlooked year from the 2000s, but still a fun year from start to finish. Other major moments that happened this year included the prison sentence of KKK organizer Edgar Ray Killen, Condoleezza Rice getting sworn in as the US Secretary of State, making her the first black woman to hold the position in the country, the launch of the Huffington Post website, the Baghdad Stampede, Michael Eisner stepping down as the CEO of Disney to be replaced by Bob Iger, the first Twilight novel being released to the public, the Colbert Report debut, Twitches premiering on Disney Channel, and Michelle Williams taking a tumble on a live 106 in Park performance amongst many others.
Where you at, 106? Hey! Hey! How y'all doing?
2005 holds a special place in my heart as this year pretty much sums up my childhood. This was the year that stood out to me growing up as I was old enough to remember most of the events that took place in real time. And it's just so crazy to see how fast time has flown. Like, I'm still blown away that this year, as of making this video, was literally 20 years ago, y'all. We are getting old and time is just flying. But anyways, I want to know from you guys, what did you think of the year 2005? Do you remember seeing these movies in theaters? Which video games did you play this year? Did you have Guitar Hero? Were you affected by Hurricane Katrina? What was your favorite song of the year? Favorite show? Favorite artist? And what did you think of 2005 as a whole? Let me know down below. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate each and every one of you all. Feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more fun videos just like this. See ya.